Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world today, I hope that you are doing great. I hope that everything is pleasant for you. And most importantly, my friends, I hope that you are in good health. Once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, we get to talk about those things that people know, that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. These, my friends, are the things we discuss here on the Common Sense channel. So, once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. Today, I want to talk to you about a very important topic. And as I've often said, democracy is the mothership for all of the systems out there. That would be communism, socialism, Marxism, you know, Nazism, all the ism out there. Democracy, dictatorship, the one, that's the boogeyman right there. The one they often talk about a lot. And I think next to dictatorship is communism. So today we're going to look at elements of communism in a democracy. Because a lot of you don't know. There are a lot of people out there, the ones that are wise now, they know. And the ones that are wise, they're the ones pushing the agenda, but you don't even know. Some of you are actually living in a communist state in America. There are states in this country that are communist. The entire system is run as in the form of communism, but you don't know. You don't know because you're just enjoying it. So, for example, let's look at elements of communism. And I think these people that understand these things, they know it's part of the human condition that human beings need certain things. For instance, when you hear welfare, when you hear welfare system, mm, what does that mean? Taking care of the needs of the people. You understand? That would be the poor, the disabled, the people who fall on hardship. That would be safety net. That would be public assistance. Anything public health. These are all communistic services or communistic idea. But in a democracy, they're not going to tell you that. They're just going to be like, you know what? It's a democracy. But anything that has to do with welfare of the people, not just welfare of the society, but specifically focusing on the people and their needs, like public health. That's a communistic idea. In a capitalistic society, they don't really focus on stuff like that, taking care of the people. No, the people are just workers. I mean, they are either peasants, they are just laborers. That's what they are in a capitalistic society now. I can say um, definitively that America started as a capitalistic society because the entire idea of slavery is based on capitalistic idea. It has nothing communistic to it. You understand? So when you're using someone getting free labor, that's capitalistic society. And in capitalism, you see a lot of that. Although you're getting paid, but you're not getting paid for what you worth. The importance of your labor. You're not getting paid for that, but you're getting paid, for something, the service you're providing. So these are all elements of communism. And let me just say this. If you live in a state where the majority of your legislature, your governing bodies, if it's just run by one party system, mm, if it's just run by one political party, you're living in a communistic society or state. Yes, if it's just run by one party now, I mean one ideology, everyone flows by that. That's a communist state. And that's why if you look in this country, the other side, they're always opposing to that because they know, they read, if you don't believe this video, just read what a communist state is, or communist society, or communist system is, and you start to see. And then look in your state, in this country, in America, you see all the elements everywhere. So when you talk of welfare, you talk of public health, public assistance, these are all communistic uh, ideas. You understand? So there's no way you can have a full democracy without having all of these elements. And you can do the same for socialism too. You can also do the same thing for Nazism if you want to, or Marxism. You can do the same thing within the framework of a democracy. All of these things are in it, and that's the reason why I personally do not believe that there's anything or any ideology out there such as democracy. I'm not even going to add true democracy to it, just democracy, because it doesn't exist. Because just within the framework of this ideology called democracy are all these elements. But those people that are trying to mislead you, and which is what we don't do here, we talk about these things because we see it. You will not find them teaching you this stuff in school, maybe only in certain schools, but in the program schools, they wouldn't teach you this stuff. You have to figure out this. You understand? So anytime you talk of welfare states, the welfare of the people, that would be in terms of housing, in terms of daycare, in terms of public health, in terms of safety net, in terms of how they educate the children, the air they breathe. These are all communistic viewpoint. So when you're out there, when someone say communism, don't think of boogeyman. When someone say dictatorship, don't be afraid because you might have one in your community. You might have a government, a governance body within your state that are running like that. You understand? Because some of you like, oh, communism is bad, this and that. It's right here. That's the essence of my video. It's here. It's right in your backyard. Now, have you ever heard of one guy? His name is Bernie Sanders. He often come on election time and he talks about it a lot too, but a lot of people don't pay attention to what Bernie Sanders says. Bernie Sanders always say, tax the rich. And most of his progressive people, I mean the progressive in that party now, they use this term, tax the rich, tax the rich. It sounds good. It sounds good, but the system is actually run in a capitalistic society, is run by the rich. So, and the rich has money, right? So what do? They run the government. So, but these people now, they do that just to get you to vote for them. But they know even if you tax the rich can change the laws whenever they want to. And these same politicians, they can change the laws to affect the rich. But how would they change it when the rich are the ones that run the economy? So if you're a smart person, don't go against the rich. Because the capitalistic people, they run. Look, if they don't hire you, government is not able to hire you. Let me tell you, the government does not produce nothing. All they do is regulate, and they give permit. They give permits to businesses, industrialists, capitalists to run the economy. So how can you run them out? It's just common sense, people. Think. And that's why I'm trying to point to you that in a democracy lies communistic viewpoint. And there are people within the democracy that believe in these things. But the worst of it all, and which is what I don't like, is when they're pointing hands or their fingers at other people and saying, you bad. Meanwhile, the same things that those, for example, Russia, they like to say Russia's a communist. It used to be before. I think it's not. anymore. Maybe some elements, which is you find everywhere in the world. I think Africa does not practice any of these because in this country, one thing I would say about this country is all these ideas, especially communistic view, is everywhere, and that makes the life of people better. So communism in and of itself is not a bad thing. Okay, let's go back to Bernie Sanders and the progressive. They like to say progressive ideas are great. Look, anything that's gonna help promote and improve lives of the people is a good thing. But the only issue with it is the people that are propagating it. They don't mean that stuff. They're just doing it to stay in power. But yeah, taxing the rich, that's a communistic viewpoint. Because in the communist system of government, everything is run by one group of people. It could be a bourgeoisie, the lords, and they are pseudo distributing the resource to the people, So there's no class. There's no class. Tell me, looking at our society today, realistically now, because some people don't live in a realistic world. They live in fool's paradise, or ignorance paradise. But if you live in this country, maybe some 20 years ago, where you have class. So you had the middle class, you had the upper class, you had the affluent, and then you had the super rich. That's not anymore again. You understand? I remember when I was in college, I was told this thing every day before I even graduated that, look, it's going to be tough for you, buddy. It's going to be tough for you, buddy. And then we had the housing bubble, 2008. Everything changed from there. Everything changed from then. If you live in this country at that time, everything went down spiral from that time. But yeah, we don't have class. Like in a democracy, you have the rich and all that good stuff, the middle class, the affluent, the super rich. And we don't have that. We don't have two classes of people now. We have the rich and the poor. The gap is so distant that it's hard to even recognize. You understand? So it's the same thing in a communistic society. In communism, it's the same thing. They try to eradicate classism. So there's no class. There's no middle class, upper middle class, affluent. There's none of that. Everyone the same. And I think we're there already. We're there. With what's happening, we're there. So all these elements are in democracy. But until you see it, you wouldn't recognize it. And not only like the masses, for me, what makes me so not upset, but like I'm saying, why can't people see it? Is this country, we're a country of highly informed, not informed, highly educated people, population. Because when people that are looking from outside of this country, they see Americans are highly educated people. Maybe it's changing. I'm not going to be so pessimistic, but I can say for the past 20 to 30 years now, I think it's changing, and it's changing with this generation, that people are starting to wake up to understand these things. And I think it's a good thing, because the more people start to understand how the government runs and how the system runs, then they'll be more informed when they're making decisions as far as their well-being is concerned. But yeah, and okay, another cool one again, when you hear about the control of public health, the control of transportation, the control of energies, when governments start to control these things, anytime you hear a politician, we have to control energy, we have to control public health, we have to control transportation, it has to be in certain ways, so it benefit the people. That's communist idea right there. It's communism. It's nothing but that. You understand? You can, if you want to do more research after watching my videos, go and just check it out. So I'm not lying to you. I see this stuff. I pay attention to them. I don't do as much videos because I have to do my thing, and then look at these things, especially when you're talking about discussion like these. You have to do your research. You have to understand. But I remember when I was in college, I tried to talk about these things, but I was always turned down. Like, I was always like, you know, democracy, America's a democracy, is America. Remember, high school was all pressed down on you. Like, you couldn't even think I was inside the box, because I don't like to say outside the box, because we're supposed to think from within the box and make our way out into the world, because everything starts from inside. You cannot think about something outside without first thinking about it from the inside. You understand? So yes, capitalism, in as much as they want to demonize it, is here. The elements of capitalism is in democracy. I can make the case for all of them if I want to. But within a democracy is communism, my friends. Whenever you talk about social safety net, whenever you talk about public health, whenever you talk about the control of transportation, making it better for everyone, everyone is the underlying word. Whenever you talk about social welfare, whenever you talk about benefits, whether social security is a communistic idea, it's not a socialist idea, because the system set up to help people. Who is it helping? People, the majority, society. They say the majority, but even with that, it's these restrictions. So if you live in a state where your local governance are one-party system, your legislature a one-party system, your senatorial level a one-party system, everything is run by one party, the majority, you are living in a communistic society, my friends, or a state. So don't let them fool you with all that raspy, because they like to go on there and say, our democracy. And the people that do that now, they're running all over the place. When the founding fathers, it wasn't even their plan. They did not anticipate what's happening to this country today. That's true. It wasn't their vision. It wasn't their plan. And that's why I honestly believe that America, love it. It's a project. It's an experiment. That's what America is. It's an experiment. It evolves. That's why anyone looking from outside, don't see America as it's going to collapse. No, it's not. Because anything that's a project, you're constantly working on it. And America is like an antique car that you bought from the junkyard. And you set on making that antique car your project. So America is constantly fixing. As times goes by, America is fixing itself, changing things that needs to be done. The good thing about this country that I think the founding fathers never put a term limit that you can be in office till 4 years. That's something was done later on after the Franklin D. Roosevelt. If you know who he is, FDR, aka FDR. It was after him that they decided that we should have full term, 4 years instead of you can run. Because if they had not legislatively put in that cap, that means Donald Trump can run for a third term, although he's touting that. But that would be unconstitutional because you can contest. But there are other ways around that. But the reason for my video is to show you, don't be upset. When these politicians are saying bad things about communism, don't listen to them, because within a democracy, a functioning democracy, are the elements of communism. And I just listed some of them to you. So whenever you see your society producing, focusing on welfare, focusing on benefits, focusing on transportation, focusing on safety net, making sure that everybody can get health care, universal health care for everyone, that's a communist idea, you know? So even though Palmer, Obama, Obama, you remember him, right? When he was talking about health care for everyone, universal health care, that's communism. Yes. And you see, ever since he did that, has there been any change? Even though Donald Trump was wilding, making noise, how he's going to change this, change that. But what Obama did, they knew it was good. So that's the reason why they're just making noise so you can vote for them. And I think more and more of us and more Americans that are wising up, that are waking up, more of us can start to see that these people don't mean nothing. They're not trying to change anything. They know if they take away, if more and more people don't have health care in this country or safety net in this country and all the things that you're enjoying as Americans, they know there's going to be anarchy. They know that there's going to be chaos. My only issue I have is they demonize the wealthy people, the rich, so bad that, especially Bernie Sanders. And he knows the truth. I work for one of them. Without them, there's gonna be anarchy. Imagine you get up in the morning, you can't find a job. These people are the ones that are producing because look, say for instance, America, hypothetically, America become a communist country. How much jobs can America, the government, produce for all the people? You see? So in a capitalistic society, the rich people, whether you like it or not, they are in it for profit. So they're gonna get the profit anyway. They're gonna get the profit any means necessary, as Malcolm X would say. So, but at the same time, you're gonna have a job. And like the religious people say, an idle mind is the workshop of the devil, the ones they created now, which is them. You understand? So if you don't have job, you can't find a job to work at. How would you be able to take care of yourself? And for most of us, an employment is a sense of security, a sense of pride, and a sense of prestige. And if you look into our society today, I can say definitively that we are slowly and slowly moving to government control. And if government control everything, that would be healthcare, benefits, social safety net, transportation, employment. Tell me what that is. If you're smart, I know you've been watching this video from the beginning of this video, you will notice that it's a communist form of government. It's a socialism. It's the elements of communism. I don't want to say socialism. I take that back. Communism. So that's why some of these people that understand, they're fighting harder. Harder. You know who I'm talking about, the other ones. It's a two-party system now. So I think, and here's what I think, that we should start fighting now harder to give these two people, these two political systems in this country, some competition for a change. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's why that mayoral race in New York with that guy, I don't think it's more about his religion or anything like that, or where he's from. Because Long time ago, Martin Luther King said, a man should not be judged by the color of his skin, his racial identity, his religion, his religious affiliation, the color of his skin, none of that. It says you be judged by the content of his character. And all of these people, they hold that to be true. So they say. But I think what they're starting to see is that's a competition to their rules. And I think any patriotic American, any loving American out there should be working towards making this country a competitive country. So it shouldn't be based on the identity of your party. It shouldn't be based on your affiliation to that party. Because if you don't want communism in America, then you have to find a competitor, someone that can compete with the two political system in this country. Although they like to say it's a democracy, but we learned from Donald Trump's era that America is not a democracy. I've always believed that since I was in high school. I used to argue with teachers over that stuff. Because I see, look, when you're an immigrant from another country, when you come to this country, you see things that they don't see because they're here. They already programmed in a system, so they see what is presented to them. But you from another country, you see the brother picture, the brother spectrum, you see it. So that's why I do these videos. I call these things out. I think America is a great country. No one can take that from America. This is a country that anything is possible because it's a capitalistic society and it should stay that way. People, anyone, like when you're poor, you wouldn't understand this. But once you start a business, small business, you don't have to be big like a corporation, small business, maybe you hire about 5, 6, 7, 8, or 20 people. You start to see it's always going to be about your bottom line, like your bookkeeping. You understand? So you're going to have to find you have to find a way either through your service or through some other means to get profit. No one is going to tell me they don't want profit. So when these rich people are producing jobs for the society, which the government will never do or incapable of doing, look at Social Security, how government is running that. You can't even put them on anything that it will run effectively, more or less allowing them to be your employer. You understand? So private sector is a great thing. And if they're in it, if they're pouring their money, their investment into it, don't demonize them. Like Bernie Sanders does. And you know the others. You know, these people, you don't want to make them president in this country because if you do, huh, you're going to be running a communism. I'm not making the case for communism, but I'm just telling you that the elements of that in our society, it's in some states, it's in some local governance, it's there. Yeah, but you don't see it. And on the Common Sense channel, man, that's what I see. I can sit here talking to you the whole time about this, but I don't want my video to be too long. So I already give you the gist. So I hope you can see these things, all of those things that I listed as elements of communism in a democracy. It is. Democracy is the mother for all of them, man. I'm telling you. And until you see it, you wouldn't understand. And on the Common Sense channel, that's what we do. We point out these hypocrisies. When they come out there and they point hands on other system of government as if theirs is better. But just peel out the onions. Just start to peel the onions. And then you see layers upon layers of everything that they are failing to see in it. As I've always said in my videos, the greatest thing that can happen to anyone. It's not the day you got your first child, the day you graduated from high school, college, whatever it is that you're working on, your business, your family. No, the greatest thing that can ever happen to anyone, ask anyone, that have discovered themselves, they will tell you it's when you discover the self, which is another part of you that you haven't really encountered yet. Once you encounter the self, eh, you will understand that you are being played and taken for a ride to the dry cleaner. I want to thank all those people that remain subscribed to my channel. I want to thank all those people that continue to watch and support my channel. You already know by now, I control my narrative. I don't get up in the morning thinking, what's new today? Did Donald Trump cough? Or what did Donald Trump say today? Or what's happening in the world? I just do my video because I control my narrative. And that's what you ought to do. Once you start controlling your narrative out there, eh, all these so-called news outlets are out there, they're not going to mean nothing to you. You probably turn off the TV, and I think it's a good thing. Turn off the TV. If you turn on the TV, it should be something educational, informative, something that you're learning from to better your own life. Not to listen to these clowns out there. All they are selling are lies to you. In a democracy, my friends, are elements of communism, socialism, Nazism, Marxism, and dictatorships. All the isms are in democracy. Ask the Chinese, they'll tell you. They've practiced almost all of them. And then towards the end, they settle on one. And that's what makes you great, when you can experience all of these things and finally create yours. Thank you, and have a pleasant day. Hope you and your family are in good health and living in this God-given green world created by the Most High, Jah Rastafari Almighty. Thank you.